An Air Canada India flight bound for London carrying 242 passengers and crew crashed shortly after taking off from Ahmedabad airport in India today. Rescue personnel said at least 30 bodies have been recovered from a building at the site of the crash, with the death toll expected to rise. Air India said flight AI-171, a Boeing 7878 bound for Gatwick Airport, crashed into a residential area in the northwestern city 5 minutes after taking off at 1:38 p.m. local time. Tracy Furness has more.
Smoke was seen billowing from the crash site near the airport in Ahmedabad. Air India flight AI-171 crashed into a residential area called Megani Nagar 5 minutes after taking off. There were 232 passengers and 12 crew members on board. People on the flight included 169 Indians, 53 Britons, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian, Air India said. According to air traffic control at Ahmedabad Airport, the aircraft departed from runway 23. It gave a mayday call signalling an emergency, but thereafter there was no response from the aircraft. India's Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu Kinajarapu posted on X that rescue teams had been mobilized and all efforts were being made to ensure medical aid and relief support at the site. Air India's chairman said the airline had set up an emergency centre and support team for families seeking information about those who were on the flight. It is the first crash ever for a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, according to Aviation Safety Network database. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
The Highways Department is considering resurfacing Long Chang Road, one of the major roads in Kowloon, with new materials that could double the road's durability. The plan is to close off the entire road for the works after the central Kowloon bypass opens at the end of the year. Spanning 6 kilometers, Long Chang Road is one of the city's main arteries connecting the east and west of Kowloon. In service for more than 60 years, despite its increasingly uneven surface, the road only receives temporary or patchwork repairs overnight or at the weekends. Speaking with TVB News, Director of Highways Tony Yao said the Highways Department is considering resurfacing Long Chang Road with new pavement materials that could be twice as durable. Yao said authorities are looking into whether temporary road closure is possible with the opening of the central Kowloon bypass. He said while the concrete laying work will affect traffic, if they can close the road for just over the weekends, the job can be done at one go. Yao stressed if the plan is given the green light, arrangements will be announced at least 1 month in advance. They will try to pick a less busy period of time for the works to be carried out, bearing in mind that the central Kowloon bypass set to open at the end of the year, connecting Kowloon Bay and Reclamation Street in Yau Ma Tei. But some motorists said it may not be able to divert the traffic. Mr. Lau here said it will be more troublesome if they are heading to the airport and the New Territories West. They need to take a detour through Ma Tau Wai Road, Jordan Road or Argyle Street in Mong Kok, which will worsen the traffic in Kowloon. The Highways Department said they will step up smart monitoring systems to detect cracks and uneven road surfaces and facilitate follow-up work by contractors. Protests over federal immigration raids and President Donald Trump's move to mobilize the military in Los Angeles are spreading nationwide. Largely peaceful protests have taken place in multiple cities across the U.S., with the Marines set to join National Guard troops in downtown L.A. before the weekend. California Governor Gavin Newsom has sued Trump and the Defense Department in trying to block the military deployment, with a hearing set for Thursday. Nasir Karim with more.
National Guard troops conduct riot drills at Naval Weapons Station Seal Beach in Orange County, California. Soldiers kick out at riot shields, form defensive lines, and practice standing their ground ahead of being deployed to the streets of downtown Los Angeles. About 2,000 National Guard troops are expected to be mobilized on Thursday, possibly to be joined by 700 Marines under a federal law known as Title 10. The military says the soldiers are being trained in de-escalation and crowd control.
On Title 10, on federal orders, these soldiers do not conduct law enforcement operations, that like arrests or search and seizure. They are strictly used for the protection of the federal personnel as they conduct their operations and to protect them, to allow them to do their federal mission.
Troops will, however, be allowed to detain anyone deemed a threat and hold them until the arrival of police who can arrest them. On Wednesday night, officers from the Los Angeles Police Department were busy enforcing an 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. More than 20 people were detained, mostly on curfew violations. LA Mayor Karen Bass, standing with more than 30 mayors from California cities, rejected remarks by US President Donald Trump that LA would be burning had he had not sent in the troops.
A week ago, everything was peaceful in the city of Los Angeles and in all of the representatives behind me in their cities as well. This was provoked by the White House. The reason why, we don't know.
In Baltimore, in the state of Maryland, city and state leaders gathered to denounce Trump's response to the unrest in LA, one calling it ugly, reprehensible, and hateful. Protests and arrests were also reported in Las Vegas, Nevada, Spokane, Washington State, San Antonio, Texas, and other cities including Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Boston, Denver, Atlanta, and Chicago. More than 1,800 activist groups are reportedly planning massive protests on Saturday nationwide, including Washington, D.C., where a military parade will be held to mark the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary, and the day is also Trump's 79th birthday. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
The standby signal number 1 remains in force. This as the observatory is assessing whether to issue the strong wind signal number 3 between the latter part of tomorrow and Saturday morning. Timothy Lee reports.
Tropical storm Wutip continues to edge ever closer to Hainan Island and gradually away from Hong Kong. The city's skies remained sunny throughout the morning, but were obscured by squally showers and overcast by the afternoon.
同蝴蝶相關嘅環流咧，而家正。
Zhe Weipo, a scientific officer from the observatory, said the atmospheric circulation related to Wutip currently covers the surface along the Guangdong coastline. Radar images show thunderstorms connected with the tropical storm are affecting the Pearl River Delta region at the moment, with weather authorities noting that the standby signal number 1 will remain in effect between tonight and tomorrow morning. The observatory forecasts that Wutip will initially pass by Hainan Island tomorrow before moving towards the Gulf of Tonkin around the Leizhou Peninsula. The tropical storm will then move to the northeast and make landfall on the interior regions of western Guangdong, before reaching the Pearl River Delta during the weekend. Weather authorities will consider upgrading the standby signal number 1 to the strong wind signal number 3 between the latter part of tomorrow and Saturday morning, in accordance with weather conditions. Some meteorologists noted the tropical storm will weaken after making landfall, while heavy rain will remain.
喺歷史上邊咧。
Leung Wing-mo, a spokesperson for the Hong Kong Meteorological Society, stressed that Hong Kong has historically been impacted by rainstorms whenever a tropical cyclone makes its way to the north of Hong Kong from either the east or west. This, as the observatory predicted the city will continue to experience heavy thunderstorms at the start of next week. Meanwhile, Macau meteorological authorities downgraded the tropical storm signal number 3 to number 1 at 6 p.m. All primary school and kindergarten classes have been suspended for the day. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
And still ahead, Trump indicates China will resume rare earth supplies to the U.S., but sources say China is putting a 6-month limit on export licenses. Businessman and former CPPCC member Charles Ho dies at the age of 75. And strawberry moon seen over parts of Europe. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump indicated China will resume supplies of rare earths and magnets to the U.S. after 2 days of bilateral trade talks in London. Sources say China is putting a 6-month limit on rare earths export licenses for U.S. automakers and manufacturers. Reports say that should the proposals go smoothly, Beijing may invite Trump for a state visit as early as September. Danny Zhou reports.
Donald Trump told reporters at an event on Wednesday that the trade deal with Beijing was done, signaling receding trade tensions.
We made a great deal with China. We're very happy with it. We have everything we need, and we're going to do very well with it, and hopefully they are too.
With top officials wrapping up high-stakes trade talks in the British capital late on Tuesday, China and the US are inching towards a framework agreement to implement the consensus already reached in the Geneva meetings last month. The framework now needs final approval from the two heads of state. Trump has announced on social media that China will make it easier for American industry to obtain magnets and rare earth minerals, while the US will stop efforts to revoke the visas of Chinese nationals on US universities. He declared the relationship with China is excellent, saying, "We are getting a total of 55% tariffs, China is getting 10%. This, as Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said in an interview, that tariffs on China will be locked at 55% without additional increases. The new US tariff rate does not mark an increase from the previous 30% set during the first round of trade talks in May, according to a White House official. Breaking that number down, 10% is the baseline levy, 20% is fentanyl-related, and 25% is the tariff slapped on China during Trump's first presidency. Citing people familiar with the matter, the Wall Street Journal reported that China is easing its export limits on rare earths critical for high-tech manufacturing for 6 months as leverage for future Sino-US negotiations. The framework agreement, if approved by the two leaders, will allow the flow of minerals as early as within a week. The report further noted Washington is considering relaxing restrictions on sales to China of jet engines, related parts, and ethane. Meanwhile, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent denied Washington would ease export curbs on upper-end chips. He told a Senate hearing on Wednesday, "There is no quid pro quo in terms of chips for rare earths." Vice Premier He Lifeng, the head of the Chinese delegation in London, said the two sides should honor their words with concrete action and safeguard hard-won outcomes. He reiterated in a statement that there are no winners in a trade war, saying China does not want to fight one, but is not afraid to do so. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
The 4th China-Africa Economic and Trade Expo has opened in Changsha, Hunan. Co-hosted by the Ministry of Commerce and the Hunan provincial government, this year's expo has attracted over 4,700 Chinese and African enterprises and more than 30,000 participants. Accompanied by his counterparts from Africa, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi stated that the projects and deals covered by the expo are worth over $11 billion. He emphasized that China will expand its trade with Africa and welcome more African products for export to China. According to the Ministry of Commerce, China-Africa trade has reached record highs for 4 consecutive years. As trade between China and Africa strengthens, Chinese businesses from online shopping platforms serving East Africa to wholesalers providing daily necessities are seizing new opportunities. Zachary Ip has spoken with several merchants.
In parts of Africa, shopping for daily necessities can take hours of driving. This challenge inspired Wang Qin and his partners to launch a local online shopping platform in Kenya 11 years ago. Today, the platform offers electric shavers, cookware, clothing and shoes, with same-day delivery as the fastest option. Among the best sellers, wigs, with thousands sold each week. Chin explains that the high demand arises from many African women's hair being thin and curly, limiting natural styling versatility. As internet coverage in Africa rapidly expands, the company is experiencing annual revenue growth of 50 to 60%. This year, they plan to expand into Uganda and Tanzania, with sights set on West and South Africa by 2027. Since the China-Africa Economic and Trade Expo was established in Changsha in 2019, the city's Gaoqiao wholesale market has become a key procurement hub for trading African goods, such as nuts and cocoa. The permanent African national pavilions are primarily run by Chinese investors in Africa. A Liberian student in China is also fostering partnerships between the two regions.
Currently, we have 5 different agricultural projects, that are about to be funded, signed, and sealed. Coffee bean, cocoa beans, and we also talk about sorghum production, alcohol, the coffee is there as well.
Trade with Africa at its market has reached a cumulative total of 10.9 billion yuan since 2021. according to market officials. Liu Dan, Assistant General Manager, notes that future effort will focus on industrial investments, such as bringing photovoltaic power to Africa, especially to areas facing electricity shortage. Meanwhile, for African and international buyers in the market for Chinese goods, an on-the-spot tax refund service has been introduced this month, covering 17 merchants selling clothing, electronics, toys and more. This is the first tax refund area in the wholesale market here. It will remain in service even after the expo. More merchants are expected to join. Sakarib, TVB News, Hunan.
Sources say Charles Ho, businessman and former member of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference Standing Committee, passed away at the age of 75. In early 2025, he revealed that he was diagnosed with lung cancer and later said he had completed chemotherapy. Born in 1949, Ho had been active in Hong Kong's business sector. Apart from running his family's tobacco business, Ho was also the former chairman of Singtown News Corporation and founded free newspaper Headline Daily. His final public appearance was with TVB News, during which he joined Secretary for Health Lo Chou-mao to promote anti-smoking efforts, urging the public to quit smoking. Television Broadcast Limited held its Greater Bay Area Film and TV Showcase in Guangzhou. It highlights new cross-border productions and strategic partnerships. Among those in attendance were Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Eric Tsang, TVB Non-Executive Director Li Ruigang, and Executive Chairman Thomas Hui, as well as representatives from Beijing's liaison office in Hong Kong, the National Radio and Television Administration, and the Guangdong Provincial Publicity Department. TVB presented its latest production lineup and signed multiple cooperation agreements with mainland enterprises. Speaking at the event, Eric Tsang said the cultural development of the Greater Bay Area is entering a new phase and that Hong Kong plays a vital role in driving progress. June's full moon, commonly referred to as a strawberry moon, was visible from Manciano, Italy on Wednesday. The strawberry moon got its name from its color and the time of the year when wild strawberries were traditionally harvested in Europe and North America. It was also seen rising over the Parthenon in Athens, Greece, Tuesday night. The spectacle happens every 2 or 3 years when the moon is aligned over the ancient Greek temple, creating a visually stunning scene. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.